Hi everyone, and welcome to Human Design 101. I'm Paula Fehrmann, your host, qualified life trust coach and human design fanatic. I guide my clients to become their own experts by understanding and, more importantly, living their design. When I first came to human design, I was so overwhelmed by the triangles, squares, arrows, and numbers in the chart that I didn't touch it for more than a year. However, my human design experiment has been the most important transformation in my life, which is why I want to show you how you can use your design as a simple tool to heal, transform, integrate, grow, and ultimately become your own expert. No more looking for the experts outside of you. Keep listening and learning here on the podcast, reach out for private coaching, or book a chart reading with me. Let's talk Human Design 101. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Human Design 101. In today's episodes, we're talking about something that I see coming up everywhere in my community, in my DMs, in my readings, and on Reddit. The experience of having undefined or open centers. We're going to speak about, first of all, what it means to have an undefined or an open center and what that pressure that is accompanied by an open center could feel like and look like in real life. And then, of course, how you can work with your undefined and open centers to be more like yourself and less so influenced by what you perceive in your undefined or open centers. So if you've ever felt like you are quote unquote broken and constantly influenced by others, you're really not alone. And also, you're really not broken. You are just beautifully receptive and fine-tuned almost for the energy of the people around you. And that's a big gift. So let's look into the reframe of all of that. So first of all, to share the Reddit thread that I came across that really moved me. Let me just read it out to you. One person wrote, I'm a sacral 2-4 generator with only the root and sacral defined. And the hardest thing is I have a new passion every 2 months. I feel like I'm floating in everyone else's energy, and it's a loop of me getting discouraged. Can you relate to that? Because I kind of can. I only also have 2 defined centers, which for me is not the root and sacral like this person shared, but the root to spleen. So that means there is a lot of open centers. And so this inconsistency that you might be experiencing is down to more of a, let's say, amplifying manner than a influencing manner. And let's talk about that. Let's look at what that actually means, because there's a ton of potential for this to be misunderstood. So back to the 101, defined centers versus undefined centers. There is an episode further down in the podcast that you can scroll back to. I'll link it in the show notes if you want to know more about this. Today is going to be more about the practical application, but I'm still going to give you the rundown. So a defined center is when you look at your chart, what is colored in. We have 9 centers, and what is colored in is where you consistently produce your own energy. So that means that is something very reliable that you will feel every day, that you can rely on, that others know you for. So in my example, that's the root energy, which is all about adrenalized pressure and getting momentum going. And the splenic energy, which is about health, vibrancy, and intuition. So people will know me as someone who has a lot of momentum for health, vibrancy, and intuition. This is a part of what I'm here for. Now, in the other centers, the ones that are white and thus undefined or open, which is a little bit of a difference, but more to that later, they are where you receive the energy of others and amplify the energy of others. My original mentor always used to say, In the defined centers, you're learning to trust yourself because that's something that you can rely on. And in the undefined centers, you're learning to trust the universe because that is where you're inconsistent and where you're influenced by the energy of others. So you can imagine if you have a lot of white centers, undefined centers, that you have a lot of potential to be influenced by other people, right? And that can feel a little bit overwhelming if you are not used to it, which is what this person was describing in the Reddit thread. This feeling like there's a new passion every 2 months or so is likely down to the combination of an undefined G center with an undefined heart center, and I guess also undefined mind, head and ajna. Because in our G centers, it's our identity. And when we're undefined in the G center, we're being influenced by the identity of others. And there's a little bit of an online Reddit dispute about what that feels like. Some people say they feel pressure to be of a certain kind of identity when they're with someone. And some people say they just feel like their identity is super malleable. And I fall into the second category. But let's give you an example of the first one versus the second one. So the pressure. So I back this generally because we tend to feel pressure in our undefined centers. That is the pressure of the energy of others incoming that we're not used to. You can imagine this like a power socket that is empty, and then someone plugs in, that will feel like a lot of electricity. It might feel good, but there is a certain oomph behind it, right? And so that's what you feel when you're with someone else. So if you're with someone else, and we're coming back to this pressure identity center, and you're aware of it, you could feel like they want you to be like them. They might not do that consciously. That might just be your experience of the pressure of their identity on you. And so this is what I would just call for me an unaligned person. If I feel pressure to be like them, but I don't want to be like them, it's just likely someone that I won't hang out with in the future again if I don't have to. What is where the wisdom lies, however, is the fine-tuning you have in these centers of people and places that you feel good in. So let's stick with the undefined G center. If you're around someone and they feel really nourishing to you, you love their sense of identity, you love the ideas that they bring, and that doesn't need to be 100%. Ideas obviously would be more in the mind, but sometimes it's also tied to identity, right? Our values. And you love the sense of self. Everything that feeds into the sense of self that they're bringing to the table, you'll want to be with them more. And that likely won't feel like pressure. What you will notice, though, is that when you leave their aura and when you come back and are by yourself, that this sense of identity will have left. And that's perfect because you're not meant to hold on to one identity only because you're open in the in the undefined G center. You're meant to be fluid in all of your white centers. So for you, it's then important to, I guess, keep what felt good and let go of what didn't feel good, which is where it comes to energy hygiene in the undefined centers, which we are going to speak about in a little bit. I'm going to give you another example about the undefined heart, ego, or will center, which is all the same thing. It's a little triangle just besides the G center, and it's a really powerful one. This is where our self-worth, our drive, and our sense of commitment sits. And I recently just in a reading, I shared about this, and the person said then, oh, am I not meant to commit to anything? And because they were undefined. And that's not necessarily true, because of course you're meant to commit to things. We're all here to commit to things. You just need to be a little more picky about it and really hone into strategy and authority when it comes to commitments. So for me as a projector, if I haven't been invited to something and my spleen hasn't said yes to that invitation, likely it's not going to be the right thing for me to commit to. If you're a generator and you have thought your way into a commitment as opposed to had that physical, light, bubbly reaction to, oh yeah, I think that feels good. I think I'd like to do that. You're not meant to commit to this unless strategy and authority guided you into that direction. So let's look at what this pressure in the undefined will center could look like for someone who is with a defined will center. And you'll notice that as you dive deeper into your experiment, that each person, each flavor of center that they express feels a little different. And the will center is quite a good one because you're amplifying the sense of value and confidence that they bring to the table. So if you're around someone, you're undefined in the heart center, and you're around someone with a defined heart, and they feel confident to you, but there's a flavor of intimidation on your side. You feel a little bit intimidated. You're hanging out with this guy or girl and you're like, wow, I love how they show up, but something in me feels intimidated, like I'm a little bit scared of them almost. And I don't really know why, because I don't usually get like that with people. Then chances are high that this person is faking it, which, no judgment, fake it till you make it. This is how we get confident. And you're just picking up on their insecurities. Resting bitch face is the perfect example for this, because we get scared when we see a resting bitch face, right? It's nothing nice. We're like, oh my God, what did I do to upset this person? But what we're actually seeing is this person being scared of the world, and it's their way of putting up a wall and trying to hide the insecurities that go on underneath the surface. And again, no judgment. These are all strategies that work for a while, and then we realize, oh, I was doing this, and that, and maybe it's time now for an upgrade. Maybe it's time now for me to show my insecurities, because they actually make me seem more confident when I am able to show that I love them, when I am able to feel that I love them. So these two examples give you a more nuanced idea of what pressure feels like and why we need to look out for pressure. And I'm going to say it again. So the pressure in our undefined and open centers is coming through the energy of others. It is their energy being plugged like a plug into our undefined center, aka power socket, and that creates a flush of energy. Now, we can be tempted to just run with this energy, for example, in the throat, to just speak, and use this energy. But if we're doing that all the time, we're working against our own design, because if we were meant to be plugged in there 24/7, we would be defined, but we're not. So we're likely more happy if we find a chill medium that feels balanced for our own energy and the energy of others. And that brings me back to this quote I started with from Reddit in the beginning. This person saying that they have a new passion every month or two, and that they feel like they're running with it and obsessively getting into it, and then drop it and something new turns up. And this obsessive energy that is being described, that is the pressure. That is this, oh my God, this thing is going to change my life. Finally, it's here. And this is coming from an energy of fear and desperation, right? And again, no judgment. We all do these things sometimes. But it's coming from this fearful energy of, I'm not where I'm meant to be. I'm not happy with who I am. I need something to fill this sense of lack that I have in my life. And maybe this thing is going to be the thing. And when we follow and lean into these kind of pressures, we are acting from conditioning, right? From fear, from lack, from this idea of that there's something on the outside that makes us feel like we're enough, or we're finally where we're meant to be or where we wanted to be. And that's never going to work out. So if you have a tendency to take things and run with them, your practice is going to be in feeling the pressure, naming the pattern, and then sitting with it and gently distracting yourself. So I'm going to say that again. Let's say you find your new hobby, you're really into Pilates now, and you feel like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is going to fix me. This is going to fix my knee issues, my lopsidedness between both sides of the body. This is going to give me abs, helps me with low belly fat loss. I'm going to do it every day from now on. This is the thing. I'm going to do it every day. And so you're doing it for a few days and then you realize, oh, I think I'm acting from this pressure. Maybe there's this Pilates identity, hello, undefined G center, or this sense of commitment that is actually not correct for me, hello, undefined heart center, or this really strong idea, school of thought that I'm holding on to, hello, undefined head and ajna, that is pushing me to go, 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 go. Hello, undefined sacral. And when you're in an experience like this, you start noticing, you start naming, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm acting from conditioning. And then you start slowing it down, and either you distract yourself gently, because we don't need to be focusing on what's not right 24/7, or if you can, you're making small changes. You're going to Pilates then only every second day or twice a week, or something that feels more aligned with your inner authority. And last but not least, if you have a ton of undefined centers, energy hygiene is going to be super important for you. And that doesn't need to look like making a big fuss. I know that in the spiritual scene, people love visualizing cleaning their aura field with light, or taking an aura shower, like imagining that they're shampooing their aura and washing all these things out. For me, I don't really need that, but if you resonate with that, that's cool. For me, just spending time by myself is essential. Spending time by myself, I'll lie on the floor, put my legs up the wall, I'll do some gentle yin yoga or a meditation. And by the way, if you're looking for practices, I've got a new on-the-go wellness shop on my website where I give you amazing yoga practices. And there's also my most requested practice, the yoga nidra, on there, which you can buy for, I think it's only £8, or bundle it up, mix it with a yoga practice and get it for 15. It's forever yours and it's really, really good. Go make sure you try it out. But yeah, so back to the energy hygiene, it's important that we have some sort of routine that we come back to in which we feel our own energy. Especially if you're sleeping beside someone at night, you'll want to make sure that you have some hours in the day or an hour in the day where you're alone to get to know your energy. Because only when you know what you feel like, you will learn what it feels like when others come into your field. And the pressure to speak, for example, then you will notice literally feels like burning in my throat. or the solar plexus energy, the undefined solar plexus energy, literally will feel like me wanting to run away from something when I feel like I might upset someone. And once you notice that, you can welcome it. You can be like, hey, cool, that's just my conditioning, and I can ease into it. Yeah, I trust you found this helpful. I am looking forward to hearing about your experiences with undefined centers. Share in the comments. Let me know what it feels like to you, what undefined centers you have, and whether you've already figured out a pattern. And also let me know whether you want to hear more about this. For example, in detail, what the pressure in each center feels like and how to work with it. And for now, I'm sending you so much love. I am so grateful that you're here with me, that you're listening and tuning in, watching the YouTube. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for being here today and listening along to Human Design 101 with me, your host, Paula Fehrmann. I trust that you received exactly what you needed from today's episode, and I love how the universe matched us today. If you enjoy listening and learning with me, please leave a review wherever you are listening to this podcast so that more people can unlock their true selves and ultimately become who they were meant to be using human design. Until next time, lots of love and bye-bye.